Hi students, class 12 CBSE economics lesson topic economic reforms since 1991. Important points. Meaning, economic reforms refer to a set of economic policies directed to accelerate the phase of growth and development. Economic reforms or structural adjustment is a long-term, multi-dimensional package of various policies, that is liberalization, privatization, and global
growth, the efficiency in production, and make a competitive environment. Economic reforms are adopted by Indian government in 1991. The factors responsible economic reforms fall in foreign exchange reserve, adverse balance of payments, mounting fiscal deficit, rise in prices, failure of public enterprises, Gulf crisis, stabilization
used by government to control rise in price, adverse balance of payment, and fall in foreign exchange reserve.
These are long-run policies. The goal of structural reforms is to abolish controls, eliminate proactive hurdles and red tapeism, and make the decision-making process efficient and transparent. In the new economic policies 1991, the structural reforms can be seen with respect 1. Liberalization, 2. Privatization, 3. Globalization. Liberalization. Liberalization means removing all necessary control and restriction like permits, licenses, protectionist duties, quotas, etc. Economic reforms under liberalization. Industrial sector reforms, financial sector reforms, or fiscal reforms. Fiscal reforms relate to revenue and expenditure of the government. Tax reforms are the principal component of fiscal reforms. Broadly, taxes are classified as A. Direct taxes, B. Indirect taxes. Direct taxes are those taxes the burden of which cannot be shifted onto others. Example, income tax and wealth tax. Indirect taxes levied on levied on goods and services are those taxes the burden of such can be shifted onto others. Example, GST, goods and services tax and custom duty. Foreign exchange reforms. External sector reforms include 1. Foreign exchange reforms, 2. Foreign trade policy reforms. Privatization. Privatization is the generally process of involving the private sector in the ownership or operation of state-owned enterprises. Policies adopted for privatization, contraction of public sector, abolish the ownership of government in the management of public enterprises, sale of shares of public enterprises. Globalization. Globalization may be defined as the process associated with increasing openness, growing economic interdependence, and deepening economic integration in the world economy. Policy promoting globalization, increase in equity limit of foreign investment, partial convertibility, long term trade policy, reduction in tariff. In appraisal of LPG policies, positive impact, increase in foreign investment, increase in foreign exchange reserves, a check of inflation, increase in domestic product, increase in exports, consumer severity, negative impact, negative of neglect of agriculture, increase in competition for domestic industry, increase in urbanization, disaffect of disinvestment policy, spread of consumerism, and culture, cultural erosion. Economic dualism, it refers to disintegration of the economy into the traditional and modern sectors of production. While the traditional sector relies upon traditional technology, the modern sector is drawn by modern technology. Social dualism, it refers to disintegration of the society into haves bracket enjoying the high social status and have nots having with the local socials with the living with low social status. FDI refers to investment by the foreigners by the way of the business establishment in India. It implies ownership and control of business, example Coke, Pepsi, Domino's, and McDonald's. FII refers to investment in Indian companies in bracket by the way of purchasing their quality or shares, by the way of purchasing their equity or shares by the foreign banking and non-banking institution. It does not involve any kind of direct control on the management of the Indian companies where investment is made. FII, unlike FDI, it is simply an investment in the stock market in India by the foreign banking and non banking institution. Tariff barriers mainly refer to the barriers on imports through a high import duty. Non tariff barriers generally refer to quota barriers, implying quantitative restriction on imports bracket or restriction on the quantum of imports. Bilateral trade agreements refer to trade agreements of one country with other, or these are the trade agreements between any two countries of the world. Multilateral trade agreements refer to the trade agreements of one country with any countries of the world, or these are trade agreements among many countries of the world. Devaluation. Devaluation implies lowering the value of our currency in relation to other currencies of the world. Disinvestment. The disinvestment is a policy instrument to promote privatization. It occurs when the government sells off its share capital of PSUs, public sector undertakings, to private investors. GST, Goods and Service Tax, has been introduced in India with the view to providing a uniform tax structure across all parts of the country. It is a one tax in place of all taxes on goods and services, and it is a uniform tax across all states of the country. Thus, GST carries a slogan of one tax, one nation, one market. Demonetization. Demonetization introduced in 2016. It is closely related to financial sector reforms. Let us understand its concepts and consequences in the context of the Indian economy. Concept: demonetization is the policy action of government that withdraws the status of legal lenders from existing currency. Once the status of legal tender is withdrawn, the existing currency bracket or the currency notes are reduced merely to prices of paper. The demonetized notes were replaced by new currency notes of rupees 500 and rupees 2000. The basic purpose, basically, demonetization aims at curbing, curbing illegal transaction, curbing illegal transaction and antisocial activities bracket funded through the illegal transaction principal merits. It helps the unearthed find out black money. A restriction of black money leads to shrinkage of shadow economy bracket an economic with unrecorded production activity and tax evasion.